Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back today to this Project Audi Motorsport Manager career. We're back today. It's our home Grand Prix, the Munich Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix. Hopefully we're going to have a good race, as good as last time. I don't think that's going to be possible last time out in Canada, a race where I didn't think we were going to do too well. All signs pointed that we weren't going to do too well. The parts that were crucial for Vancouver aren't the parts that are the best in ICAR, but somehow, somewhere, Sebastian Vettel got on the podium. He had a really good start, managed to hold on to that for the race, managed to finish ahead of a Ferrari, of Leclerc, Red Bulls. Absolutely amazing race, but the Silver Arrows ran away with the last race, pulls them within touching distance of Ferrari, who have been so dominant in the early part of the season. Looks like Mercedes are starting to pull that gap back, but the car has improved a little bit of Mercedes. I don't think they've, just refer to my notes, no, they haven't improved any parts going into this race, but we don't know. Mercedes starting to come back here, as we see Verstappen and Lewis in second and third. Charles Leclerc with his 4 wins so far this season. He won the first 4 races of the season. He's cooled off a little bit since then. But Ferrari, have they made an upgrade? No, Ferrari haven't made an upgrade either. So we'll just run through the upgrades really quickly, just get my notebook. We've got new gearboxes going into Red Bull, Williams, McLaren and Haas. Whereas AlphaTauri have got a new engine. They've taken the Spec 2 Renault engine. Finally, not Renault, Honda. Taking the Spec 2 Honda engine that Red Bull have been running with, so they've got a decent upgrade there, which means they shouldn't be bottom of this list anymore. No, they have moved above Haas there, who are running a Renault engine this year. Just languishing a little bit of Haas at the moment. The upgrade's not going into that Haas car. Meanwhile, ourselves, if you notice here, we've actually managed to get our Spec 2 engine into the car. Moves us right up there behind the works Ferrari and Renault engines. So our engine pretty strong now, which is going to be good going forward. Hopefully we can keep that. Obviously, I'm not going to build another engine for quite some time. It takes a very long time to build an engine. It might be the only upgrade we make to the engine this season, because it does take 34 days. It does take a number of weeks to get that done. If we started building one when this was done, that would be 40... How long are we going to go? Would be done in time for Milan, and if we look at Milan, that is quite far into the season. Yeah, there is a point where we could do, but I do want to get a new suspension, a new rear wing built. Maybe we could then think about a new engine going into next season could be the way forward. As it is, the car has now moved up to a sort of an average level, pretty much on a par with what McLaren have got at the moment. So we're making decent improvements as we go on. Ferrari's still the best car, followed by Renault, Mercedes, Red Bull. Yeah, and then we've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Prema haven't made any upgrades to their car. So we're going to jump in to Munich now. We're going to get going here. Skip over practice as usual. It is 45 laps, so it could be done in a one stop. We'll just go what's usual, just to make sure we've got enough mediums to get through practice and the race as well. So yeah, we're going to jump into practice and we'll be back in a second. Oh, got a bit of rain in qualifying as well. We'll be back to see if that rain, how badly that rain does affect qualifying. So practice is over, we're about to jump into qualifying. Vettel was pretty quick in practice, Van Dorn quite a little bit behind him, but we did have some rain that messed up the lap times. As we can see, there's about a second difference over the fastest laps. Let's just have a quick check here. We're not going to change too much. Obviously, part firme is in effect once we hit continue. I'm not going to make any changes to the setup though before we head into qualifying. And where are we getting rain here? Looks like rain is coming right at the end, so we're going to get Van Dorn out first. He's going to go, leave it a couple of seconds, and try if we can find a bit of a gap for Vettel here. Say that, and is that Williams that came out right in front of us. Don't know whether it's Magnussen or Latifi, but we're just going to go ahead and see what sort of lap times we can get off this first run. Maybe get an early second run in, because there is a lot of rain coming at the end of the race, although the AI is not going to do an early second run. The AI can't usually plan around the race. But Van Dorn is alongside. We've got a Prema around us, and that is one of the 2 Premas around us. Ghosting through gate. Is it 2 Premas? That was slightly different. I think we got an Alpha in front of us. I can't even tell who's in front of us here. Anyway, we'll just see what we can get. Vettel Can he go quicker than Van Dorn? Van Dorn's pretty far down the order, already 8 tenths off the lead here. Vettel a lot closer to the top of the order. Vettel takes a third here in Germany. Absolutely great lap for him, although obviously we've got Verstappen, we've got McLaren still to go. But if we can stay around the top 5 quicker than a Ferrari here. Hulkenberg struggling, Leclerc up there quicker than a Ferrari, whereas we've got the 2 Renaults in pole position on the front row of the grid at the moment. Ricciardo in pole position, so we're just going to get in. Are we going to get Van Dorn straight back out here? Have we got time? I don't think we've got time before the rain, have we? We're just going to go anyway, see if we can get out and beat the rain. It doesn't look like that is going to happen though. That's not too bad from Van Dorn, a 13th, and that is absolutely excellent from Vettel. If we can hold on to a 4th place here, obviously that looks like it could be, because the top of the order is not going to come out until the rain hits. And is Van Dorn going to get some sort of a lap in before this rain gets too heavy to affect him? Quicker over the first sector. Just, yeah, heavy rain now sets in. And that is it for this qualifying session. All these top of the order guys coming out on their inters. Nothing's going to happen there. And everyone in on their in lap. A minute to go. The 2 Renault cars stay ahead of the pack on the front row of the grid, which is good. Renault, even though they've had one of the better cars, and with Ricciardo and Ocon a really strong driver lineup, they haven't really been performing too well of late. But it is good to see them on the front row of the grid here. Obviously, it's great to see us in 4th place with Vettel finally getting to grips with this car. It seems he'd been lagging behind. Obviously, he did have a virus. But he's back. He's back. He's doing pretty well here for us at the moment. So we're going to take the medium bonus, because we're going to be running on the medium for quite a long time during this race. We're going to be starting on the super soft. Whether we should start and go long here. I think I'm going to have to go long with Van Dorn, because he is a little bit more risk of not being able to get to the end of the race. It doesn't look like it's going to be rain during the race, although we don't know what's going to be happening from lap 22 onwards. But yeah, we need to see how far we can get with Van Dorn. He does need to get this 28 or more laps out of this medium tyre to even think about a 1-stop by doing medium. Super soft, he possibly would have to go medium soft if he does want to 1-stop here, which I feel is going to be the optimum strategy. Whereas Vettel is a little bit more smoother. He can quite comfortably, he can do about 47 laps on this. He can get there, he does have to look after the tyres though if we do want to get to the end of the race by doing a 1-stop. So not much room for pushing the car, so hopefully we can get a decent start here. But as it is, we'll just quickly run down the grid. We've got the 2 Renault cars on the front row of the grid, Ricciardo and Ocon respectively. Max Verstappen in that Mercedes is 3rd. We're 4th with Sebastian Vettel. Leclerc in the Ferrari is 5th, followed by Albon in the Red Bull in 6th. Alonso is 7th. Hamilton in the Mercedes, 8th place for him. Almost 6 tenths down on the Renault cars. Carlos Sainz in the top 10 with the McLaren. Vips all the way up there in the AlphaTauri 10th. A really good result for the AlphaTauri, obviously taking that Spec 2 Renault engine. Renault, why do I keep saying Renault engine? Spec 2 Honda engine. Nothing to do with Renault. Honda engine. Nico Hulkenberg in the Ferrari 11th. Disappointing for him. Behind him is George Russell in the Aston Martin. Then we've got Van Dorn for us in 13th. Bottas, I'm guessing he's still got a dodgy neck. So his fitness, yeah, he's got 1 week left on a dodgy neck. His fitness is going to come into play as this race goes on. 15th for Mick Schumacher, not too bad in the Prema. Magnussen in the Rocket Williams 16th. Newgarden 17th in the Haas, followed by Norris all the way down the order in 18th in the 2nd McLaren. Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri 19th. Giovinazzi in the Alpha 20th. Schwartzman, Prema 21st. Sergio Perez in the Haas 22nd. And then on the back row of the grid, we've got Nicholas Latifi in the Rocket Williams, followed by Lance Stroll, not performing too well in this race in the Aston Martin. But here we go. Hopefully we can get a good start here. We need to try stay ahead of at least the 2 Red Bulls. Oh, Leclerc's off to a flyer there. And that is Ocon off to an absolutely amazing start. Vettel holds on but gets Ricciardo. Can he keep it through the chicane? That is Alexander Albon there pressuring Daniel Ricciardo. We've got a Mercedes coming through of Max Verstappen there. Max Verstappen right behind both Mercedes managed to get through past Daniel Ricciardo, as has Alexander Albon. Ricciardo has fallen all the way to 6th place here. Meanwhile, Vettel has managed to hold on. Van Dorn has moved himself up into 10th place. A great start for Van Dorn. He's obviously on that medium tyre. He's under pressure at the moment from Carlos Sainz. Sainz does get through. It looks like Sainz is going to be able to hold on to that Not much we can do with the tyre. The weather is pretty decent. It's going to cool down a little bit. It might be a little bit hard to get some heat into this tyre if we do want to make it last. Whereas Vettel has done amazingly. He's held on to second place here. Managed to stay ahead of the Mercedes of Verstappen and Hamilton. Stays ahead as Ocon. Sets the quickest lap over that first lap. Yeah, if we can just hang on to this. Van Dorn, meanwhile, has settled behind. Sainz has managed to get past Hulkenberg as well, which is good for him. Hulkenberg on the soft tyre. He's not on the quickest tyre compound here. I'm guessing they're going soft, medium. I don't think they're going to be going soft, super soft, because that is just a crazy strategy to go with 2 stops here. Doesn't seem to be that much difference in the tyres over this track that a 2-stop would work. Meanwhile, we're under a lot of pressure here. The cars around are really pushing their tyres here. We're not going to do that because we do want to... Oh, and Verstappen locks up there, which releases Vettel down the straight. Did they know something I don't know about the weather? And Russell is under investigation at the moment. He's possibly got a damaged front wing, and it is Newgarden alongside him as well. It looks like their race is shot at this early stage here, but Vettel, we're just sort of holding everyone up here, getting everyone pushing their fuel load quite a lot here. We're managing to just keep everything. Maybe we do want some more heat in these tyres just to make sure they're up at optimum temperature. And look, we see Van Dorn, these medium tyres are a little bit of a struggle to keep the temperature of, which isn't going to bode well as this race goes on, trying to keep that tyre at a level that we want to get the full laps out of them that we can. Obviously, a lot of cars around us are a little bit better with their tyre wear than we are at the moment. We won't get a chance to improve that until we get to build our new chassis at the end of the season, but here we go. The other car's starting to pull back now. Hamilton's pushing. Verstappen has dropped back. That lock-up seems to have cost him a little bit here. He's got a 75% on that tyre. So we're doing a pretty good job. What is Hamilton on the soft? He's below us even on a soft, obviously. That pushing, the AI pushing, looks like they're going to try a 2-stop. So maybe to keep the difference here, we're going to... Our 1-stop should work, hopefully. As we see Esteban Ocon flying off into the distance here. Could be a first win of the season for Renault. Van Dorn going quicker through the first 2 sectors than he has done so far in this race. He's on to the back of the McLaren. It looks like these super softs are maybe starting to wear off. They've done their 4 laps where they're at their most. Oh, and that is a breakdown for George Russell. His car blows up there just right behind. Where was he? He was right behind Van Dorn, wasn't he? George Russell. Yeah. And that is, who is that? I was trying to think then. It's Lance Stroll. All the way from 24th up into 12th. Managed to pick up 12 places over the first couple of laps. An absolutely amazing start for him. He's on the super soft, which must be why he's done that. He's taken a lot out of that tyre though. Vettel. Quickest sectors over the first 2 sectors here. Just holding back on that super soft allows him to go quickest. A 144.7. We're actually closing that gap back to Esteban Ocon now. Getting a gap over the McLaren, what am I saying? Over the Mercedes. Try to talk too quick. I need to try to slow down a little bit. Yep, we're getting a little bit of heat back in these tyres. These tyres are going a little bit too warm, and now we can just drop off, and hopefully we can still get what we want to out of these tyres. Ocon doing a masterful job, meanwhile, 67% is doing. I don't think we've got... Well, I know we don't have the pace to catch up to that Renault. We do have a bit of a better engine, but it is still nowhere near at the level of the Renault engine. The Ferrari engine, the Renault engine that they've got, and working together with their car in perfect harmony. We just don't have that kind of power in our Audi at the moment. Even Mercedes don't have the power of the Ferrari or the Renault. I'm not sure if Red Bull are above Mercedes. I can't remember where it is after the last couple of upgrades. As it is, we're doing quite a good job here. Van Dorn, meanwhile, is still hanging on to the back of these, which is good for him. If we can sort of hang on whilst we're on the slower compound, would be good for later in the race if Van Dorn can stay in this position. We're just trying to get back to optimum temperature. I don't think we're going to be able to do the 1-stop with Van Dorn though. So maybe we have to start thinking a little bit more. You can go 20 laps, yeah, there's going to be no chance, although you can go the soft. 2042, yeah. We're not going to be able to do the one-stop strategy that we wanted, the medium to super soft. We can do medium to soft. Hopefully, Van Dorn's got enough in him to do that. Meanwhile, we're going to switch back to neutral for a little bit. Try and cool this tyre down. Meanwhile, we might think about cooling this down, maybe conserving a little bit, just to make sure we've got a nice gap over the Mercedes behind us. A 5-second gap. We seemingly don't have the pace if we're in neutral to keep up. So we're just going to switch down, cool off with Vettel a little bit, and we'll just try, at the moment, just see what we can get out of Van Dorn here, with whether we can just sort of keep him up. Is that anyone? No, that's Leclerc locking up, which is good for us. If Leclerc's down in 7th. Ferrari suddenly just struggling here. Although that is Verstappen dropping down the order as well. Ooh, if we could get a double points finish here, if we can get a podium and points out of Van Dorn, that would be absolutely brilliant. We do have a little bit of room to push as well with these tyres now, since we've given up on the medium super soft strategy. Since we're going medium soft, have we got a pace to get past a Ferrari? Unlikely, but we'll push to the straight, see how close we can get. We're under a second behind Hulkenberg at the moment, as we see that Ferrari just so quick down the straight. We do pick up a 10th around the corner. Yeah, even pushing all out, we've got it's just too hard to keep that. We'll just keep running in optimum temperature. Hopefully we're going to be able to come back at them at the end of the race, and we're back almost in the optimum zone. We'll just push a tiny little bit to get that tyre, try and get it right on the optimum zone, and then we'll turn back down. So Vettel running second. We've still got that 5-second gap at the moment, so let's just speed up here a little bit. We'll just try to get to the first round of pit stops. It looks like we've done a really good job of holding on to this tyre. We see Albon is at 41%. We're a little bit better off than the other cars at the top of the order. Who else have we got here? Ricciardo has moved himself back up to 4th. Then we got the 2 Red Bulls. Leclerc, Ferrari is in 7th. Sainz is still in the top 10 in that McLaren. Norris has fallen way off here. Since he won that race 2 races ago, he's seemingly fallen way off the pace here. Norris right down at the back of the grid. He does have a win to his name this season. As we see, he's currently 6th in the driver's standings with that win that he had early on in the season. When are we going to be able to get round to this pit stop? We've got quite a while to go. We've done 12 laps so far. Another 6 out of it would get us to lap 18, which is what we wanted out of this tyre. Things working perfectly for Sebastian Vettel as well. We're there with the fuel as well. So it looks like we might be able to hang on to this, obviously. I'm guessing it looks like Hamilton. I don't see the AI not using a super soft. I'm guessing Hamilton's going to go soft, super soft, super soft. Is what I'm thinking they're going to do with Mercedes, which means our main battle is with Ricciardo. But as we see, Ricciardo, he's gone through that tyre pretty quickly. So he's going to be going onto a medium pretty early. Maybe an undercut, but we don't want that. We want to make sure we can get to the end of the race pretty comfortably doing a one-stop strategy. This medium tyre just cools down so quickly though, as we see. I'm going to get pushing again. We're right on the back of Hulkenberg here. We do have a lot more recovery to do with Van Dorn later on in this race with the fuel, but Van Dorn, we give him the power, and that is Sainz coming into the pits as well. So we move up into 9th place. Sainz is in the pit. Sainz is in for a super soft. So Sainz is pitting again, which might work out for us. Newgarden finally comes in to do his front wing as well, or whatever was wrong with his car after that collision with... Who did he collide with? It was George Russell. Yeah, it was George Russell, who then went on to retire. And Vettel, meanwhile, we're at 29%. Oh, this tyre, it said 6% left. Super soft. Super soft goes down to 15%. I think it's the Ultra that drops off at 20%. I'm hoping this drops off because we want a couple more laps out of this tyre. Meanwhile, we've got Van Dorn running. Just going to keep pushing with him at the moment. I'm managing to get a nice little gap over that Ferrari as well. We've built up the second, although I'm guessing Hulkenberg's going to start coming back, although he's not. I thought Hulkenberg would be pushing a little bit more. Meanwhile, we're going to get started pushing here with Sebastian Vettel. 5.9 seconds. Is it a 20-second pit stop here? There is a nice little gap there ahead of Vips that we can get out into when we make this pit stop. We're just going to see what Ocon does. He's going to go around again here. These tyres fall off at 15%. So we're going to go around again. I think we're going to have to get in this lap. It's still a little bit touch and go though for what we do. Because that medium still might not get to the end of the race. 29 laps. It is right on the limit to get to the end of the race. We're going to go for it because if we can do a one stop and maybe Ocon's doing a 2. 6 seconds. We're going to gain about 14 seconds through the pits. Obviously they're going to be able to push a lot more for it. Joseph Newgarden does the fastest lap on a fresh set of super soft tyres. We just want to see what Van Dorn can get out of this. He's done 16 for... Yeah, he's going to be able to do that. He's going to get pretty close. Oh, but he's not going to be able to get there exactly. Is the problem. Vettel in the pits. Ocon is out. What has Ocon come out onto? Ocon has gone for super soft, so the Renault is doing a 2-stop. Ocon in a lot more fresh air than we are. We do have a nice little gap to Hulkenberg in front of us though, so that is pretty good. Van Dorn is currently up into 2nd place here. Did he just pass Ocon there? Did he come? Yeah, that is good. Slow down Ocon here. Come on, stay ahead. Oh, and Ocon gets done by Nico Hulkenberg as well, which is working well for us. We have now got Ocon currently being slowed down by 2 cars in front of us. One of them is our car, so that works well for us. It's just whether we can hang on to this tyre till the end of the race, or whether at some point we're going to have to get off it and get onto another set of super softs. It looks like the AI is going for a 2-stop across the board. I don't know what these guys are doing. I'm guessing some of the guys that were the cars that are at the back of the grid, halfway and further back, that started on the mediums, are going to be going to maybe try a 1-stop. Could be on the cards for them. I'm not going to try go any further with Van Dorn, who's doing a masterful job though at holding Esteban Ocon up, which is what we want at the moment. We want to be able to make sure that we can keep distance with this medium tyre, that Ocon doesn't get too far ahead of us. So for that point we want to keep Van Dorn out as long as possible here. Although Ocon's not even managing to keep up or challenge at Hulkenberg, although Hulkenberg is going to be coming into the pits pretty soon. I'm guessing he's got another lap after this one. He could be in this lap. He needs to get some heat into his tyres. If we get the Renault behind us, that is one we're going to have to start attacking a little bit. Otherwise the Renault's just going to... Oh, and that is... No, his tyres are underheated. So these mediums can go to 5%, so we've got quite a lot. We should be able to get the 27. Oh, it's getting more and more likely that we're going to be able to get Vettel the full way on these tyres. We need to do a little bit of pushing though, just to try keep that distance, just to try keep a little bit of heat in these tyres. We don't want them underheating. We do want a little bit of heat in them. It is going to affect the tyre wear. Is Van Dorn just pulling away from Ocon here? Van Dorn's pulling away from Ocon. As we approach the halfway point of the race. Are we in for an unlikely win here? Hamilton is right behind. Yeah, Hamilton's doing a 1-stop as well with a lot more tyre life than us. So Hamilton is in a position here to challenge us, win this race. That we're in a battle with Ocon. Ocon slow on this super soft tyre. What is he doing? He's not. He's only about 3/10 quicker on the super soft. I thought he would be a lot quicker, although he's taking a lot of life out of that tyre following the Ferrari of Nico Hulkenberg, who's coming to do a 1-stop as well. So we're just going to switch into neutral here. What is Hamilton? Hamilton's pushing all out on that medium tyre. I think Hamilton's going to get us. Meanwhile, we're just going to switch back a little bit with Van Dorn. I don't know where he's going to get out of the pits. He's currently leading the race about 20 seconds. He's going to be coming out in 11th place, which is pretty much where he was when everyone started making these first round of pit stops. We are still wanting to try and get a 1-stop race out of him as well, which does mean going onto the softs. Van Dorn is not going to get onto the supers at any point, but we're just going to see how far he can get. So then we've got a good indication of how close we're going to be able to get with Vettel, although Vettel is under pressure from Lewis Hamilton here. And I don't really... Norris goes quickest on a pretty much fresh pair of super softs as well. He's currently 22nd on the grid, setting the quickest lap of the race, as everyone up the front of the order is just trying to hang on to their tyres. At the moment, no one's really pushing too much. We've managed... If we can manage... Hamilton's turned down the fuel. If we can just manage to get past this assault from Hamilton, it looks like we're going to be able to do that. We're not under much pressure. Well, we're under a lot of pressure, but you know what I mean. Hamilton is not really threatening to get past. It's not too easy for him. We're going to switch up in a push because I just said that, and it looks like that is going to happen. We just said that, yeah, just in time. We managed to catch that. Every time I say something like that, the opposite usually happens. I said we're not under much pressure, and it looks like Hamilton's starting to turn down now, so we can just go ahead and do that. We might as well keep the fuel load up in high. Van Dorn still running in first place here. Ocon is getting a little bit closer, and with that battle that we're having with Hamilton, Ocon is managing to start to go a little bit further here. He's starting to push a little bit more Ocon to personal best over the second and third sectors here. So I think, have we got another lap in this tyre? So we're getting pretty close to the recommended 28 laps. We managed to go a lap under that. And yeah, we're going to get in. 40 soft tyre can do 23. We're not going to be able to do the super soft. And we're going to have to start recovering fuel as well with Van Dorn. We might as well push for the last part of this lap. We should be able to get around before this tyre starts to fall off a cliff. And Ocon, what has happened to Ocon? Did he do something to overtake then? He's under investigation, it looks like. He's into the pits. He's got a drive-through penalty. He's got a drive-through penalty as Ocon. For what reason, I don't know. I didn't actually catch that. I was looking at the side screen. Did he cut a corner to overtake Van Dorn? So that has messed it up for Renault entirely. Yeah, a drive-through penalty. He does still have to pit again. So we're currently leading this race. Hamilton has taken a lot of that tyre chasing us, although he's got a lot more tyre wear left than us. His tyre's starting to cool down for us. Are we going to be able to stretch to the end of the race is the question. A pit stop would put us in 10th place. Obviously, everyone around here does have to pit again. Oh, it's a tricky one. It is. It's a tricky one. We're going to try and make it stretch though, because it is the only way we can win this race, because Hamilton definitely is going to the end. Alonso does have to stop, so it's whether we can stay far enough ahead that if it does come to it, we can still pit, maybe get second place. But as it is, we're just going to try push for the win here. The win would be crazy. Van Dorn has been in and out, managed to get out into 5th place. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But we're going to have to go into recovery a little bit with the fuel. Carlos Sainz sets the quickest lap of the race in the McLaren. He's currently down in 22nd. He's got his second pit stop out of the way. He's now going to the end of the race. 31 would put him about here at the end of the race. So both McLarens out of the points here. But Vettel now, we're pulling away from Lewis Hamilton as it is at the moment. Van Dorn is in clear air at the moment. He's got 4 seconds behind, 5 seconds in front. So let's just go here. We've got a little bit of heat into these tyres now, so we're going to go neutral. We do have 16 laps to go. It's close. It's close. Because the weather is so cool, we do have to push a little bit to keep the heat in the tyres. Oh, it's going to be so close towards the end of this race. I don't really want these to go all the way down, because we do lose any benefit from... It's a difficult one. Albon now goes quickest. With Alonso pitting as well, Van Dorn's going to get up into 3rd place as well. If Vettel did have to pit again, he would come out behind Van Dorn. So Van Dorn is actually sitting pretty here for us in 4th place. It's just whether we can. Look, the tyre temperatures are low. We're starting to see graining. What can we get if we see him come across the line? 41%. Yes, we know they're underheated. We just need to make it last. 40%, what are we taking out of the tyre per lap? we come around, we take 3% out of the tyre. So 5%, 33, another 11 laps we can get out of that. Oh, we might be at a stretch to the end of the race, just holding it like this. If we can just hold this and keep ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, is he taking any out of this tyre? No, he's still got that 9% on the tyre life on us. If we can somehow, it says 8 laps though. If we can somehow do it 34% now. It's going to be touch and go towards the end of the race. If we can just keep it, it might not be 3% though, it might be 3.6%, which wouldn't work in. But Van Dorn is now currently running in 3rd place. Alonso's out on a fresh pair of super softs. Currently going quickest over the last sector. Has he got the time? The pace in that car, look at that, it was 1.5 seconds quicker. Has he got the pace to get back up with Van Dorn? Obviously, we might have to cool with Van Dorn towards the end of the race. He does have some room with that tyre though to push. We go to 31% now. 9 laps remaining. We should see us finish the race on about 4% of this tyre. If things work out the way they do, obviously we might start losing more and more of this tyre. As we're just super cool now. But we're managing to hold this distance to Hamilton, who is now pushing. Hamilton is going all out. And we set a quickest 3rd sector. Even though this tyre is just super cool. And we're going to go into medium mode now. About 7 laps remaining. We should be able to recover that by the end of the race. It's just a matter of keeping Vettel ahead, keeping Van Dorn ahead of Alonso here. This one-stop race really working out for us. As you see, the Renaults have totally fallen off. That drive-through penalty for Esteban Ocon just totally killed his race. A 2-stop might have worked for him. We're not going to get that question answered now, as we're down to 24%. A pit stop would put us into... It would get us out in 3rd place. Oh, it's getting down to the wire. It's getting down to the wire. 6 laps remaining. Because if we run in backup mode, we're not going to get any extra benefit since the tyres are so cool. We're not going to get any extra benefit running this car. See, 18%. If we go around again, even though we're in backup, we're using the same amount that we would get for neutral. I think. Yeah, we are. It's going to go down to 15. Maybe if we try run conserve. Tyre's getting a little bit overheated. First stop of Van Dorn. He's going to be able to get to the end of the race. It's just whether Vettel can hold on here. If these tyres go, could be a last... Oh, Hamilton's pitting. Hamilton is coming into the pits. Hamilton is pitting. This would give Van Dorn the win if we go for a pit stop. Alonso is a lot closer now as well. Maybe we should have gone for the pit stop earlier. We're going to just see what we can get. 3 laps remaining. I don't think... It is close, but somehow we've found ourselves in a 1-2 position. Alonso is closing in, but his super soft, look at that. 2 seconds. 2 seconds on Van Dorn. If he can keep that pace up, he might get him right at the end of the race. Vettel, meanwhile. Oh my god, this is so close. It's going to drop off a cliff, but not so far off the cliff. We're not going to flatten the tyre. It is going to fall off a cliff though, which might be about a 5-second loss of time. We are recovering the fuel, which is a good thing as well. The soft should fall off at about 15%, hopefully. Or is it 20%? No. Or is it 10? I think it's 10 for the softs. Oh, it's so close. All around the board here. Vettel currently leading this race. Away here for our first win, if we can just hold it on. We're on the final lap. They're about to drop off the cliff. He's on the final lap. He's coming around the last few corners. He hasn't dropped off at all. It's 5%. He's got it. That tyre has lasted absolutely perfectly for Vettel. Goes to 4%. This is a point where it should start to drop off. But he comes across the line for the victory. Van Dorn grabs 2nd place. Absolutely amazing. And Alonso gets the last podium position. 3rd place for that Red Bull. Hamilton can't move himself back up after making that second pit stop. That AI car could have got to the end of the race, but the AI does like to be aggressive. It does like to push. Leclerc 5th, Ocon 6th. That drive-through penalty costing him dearly. 7th for Albon, 8th for Max Verstappen, 9th for Danny Rick, and 10th for Sergio Perez in that Haas car, which is amazing. And Antonio Giovinazzi sets the quickest lap of the race on the last lap. A fresh pair of super softs right at the end for him. No points awarded for the fastest lap of the race here. So, that Spec 2 engine, even though our car isn't the greatest, that engine is not the best, we come away with a victory, which is something of a miracle. A miracle. Just nice and even with the lap times all through the race, just keeping it nice and simple, making sure we hung on. We just managed to hang on a lot longer than the other cars did. And we get our first win of the season. In our first season, first win of this career mode. I didn't think it was going to happen. And a drive-through penalty. I'm guessing it was for cutting a corner or something like that. And there we go. The podium. Vettel first. Van Dorn second. Absolutely amazing. And there we see we move up to 8th and 9th with our two drivers. 48 points, 38 points. Closing in on the Red Bull guys. And that puts us up into 5th ahead of Renault. Somehow we're ahead of the Renault team. Renault, one of the best cars. A great driver lineup, as I keep saying, with Danny Rick and Esteban Ocon. Just not putting it together this season. Maybe Danny Rick is going to be seeking a way out of that team towards the end of the season if Renault can't get their act together. It is a really good car. They just can't put it together at all. But we can. Absolutely amazing. And then we're going to get the race winner, home race winner boost, morale increase for Sebastian Vettel. Did it whilst he's off form as well. 5.3. Van Dorn off form as well. Absolutely amazing. Of course, Van Dorn does have that boost at the moment, the refocused boost. That gives him +1 across every category. That is possibly about 12 weeks left on it. It is upping his stats, making him a little bit better driver than he is, but a second place is still amazing for him. He should be around the 12th place, maybe 14th to 8th is the places we should be fighting for with Van Dorn. But to get a second with him and a first with Vettel, absolutely amazing. That 1.3 million coming out of the bank as it usually does after every race. We'll skip past that because it doesn't make much sense. The F2 and F3 series, because I haven't actually finished that part of the mod. And we'll just accept an interview from Martin Brundle. Your two drivers are fighting away at the front there. Any thoughts about giving team orders? We'll just say no. Doesn't affect anything anyway. Pit crew review, we were 1.985 seconds. Slower than our quickest pit stop of the season, but still sub 2 seconds, which is good for me. And there we go. That is it. That is the end of this episode. A win. Somehow. We've got the British Grand Prix coming up next. Engine crucial, suspension, rear wing. Suspension, rear wing. Not there, but we do have a new suspension going into the car, which hopefully gets us somewhere around average. And then it's a matter of working on the rear wing, getting every part around about average, which is going to be good for us. I don't know how we've got a podium and a win. The AI is set quite high on the difficulty scale, but we somehow managed to get a win. Still can't quite believe it. I didn't think we'd get a win this season. Maybe at some point we're going to start sliding back as the rest of the cars just need to get their act together with their pit stops. The AI just not making a good decision there in Germany. We win our home Grand Prix. Fairy tale, pretty much. But anyway, that is the end of this episode. I will see you down the road in Great Britain, England, for the Guildford Grand Prix. But until that, goodbye. I'll see you next time.